Yes. They got term limits in that, right? They got counties term limits, right? Yeah, that's why Phillips County, that's why Armstrong. The bewitching hour is here, so I'll rise for the invocation, followed by the state session, followed by the pledge of flag. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of our Easton community. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Ettinger?
Here.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Here.
Mrs. Rose? Here. Dr. Ruggles?
Here.
Mrs. Sultana? Here. Mayor Panto?
Here. We have approval of the agenda.
So move. Second.
So move the second. Any additions or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown?
Action on the minutes of our August the 14th meeting.
Second.
Move the second. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye. At this time, we have presentation. When there's no presentation tonight, so we'll go right to public comment. For anyone who has a public comment on agenda items only, at the end of the meeting, there is time for public comment again. Seeing none, we'll move on to consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Sure. Tonight we have 8 resolutions approving certificates of appropriateness for the following properties: 526 to 28 Northampton Street, 219 Ferry Street, 229 to 31 Spring Garden Street, 355 Spring Garden Street, 41 North 3rd Street, 140 Northampton Street, 26 North 3rd Street, and 340 Spring Garden Street.
Any comments?
I move the consent agenda.
Move the consent agenda by Dr. Ruggles. Anyone
Second.
else? There's a second by Pinnabone. Councilman Pinnabone. Roll call.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye. I was being interrupted by Councilman Pinnabone.
Noted.
I apologize, Mayor.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
At this time, we'll go on to reports received by council. There are none, so we'll go right into reports of committees. Finance Committee, Mr. Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, I have 2 things on the agenda. Will be introduced: Bill 21, amending Fund 151, and also Bill number 22, amending Fund 101. I wanted to speak on this time about the press conference the other day. I am thrilled and happy to see that the city is moving forward in that direction. It is sad for me because in my time growing up in Easton, it was an epidemic where it was not fentanyl, but right now in that time it was heroin, and I had to witness my father at 11 years of age, overdose. At that time in my life, I didn't really get to know my father when I think about it, but I remember some things. On a Tuesday and a Saturday, we used to walk from the Union Street Project to 21st Street to Easton Hospital. And there he would get a cup with a couple of pills and then get a syrup and drink. At the time, I did not know it was that program for heroin. And just in the last 7 years, I just found out where my father was laid to rest. And it was difficult going through life for me without a father. My mother tried to do everything she could, but it was just some things that she couldn't do. And so for me, this means a lot. You know, when you miss a father telling you to be at your game, or a father to tell you you're doing wrong or you're doing right. So I created surrogate fathers for myself. And I thank God for them surrogate fathers because they made me the man who I am. And the ones that I really look to the most, everybody knows Bill now, but the one that really turned my life around was my coach, my track coach, Ray Herman. And so I want to personally thank the mayor and Councilman Pettibone for putting that forward because it is a horrible thing for a parent to see their son, loved one, or friend pass. But for me, to see my father pass right in front of me, what I seen the guy give my father the stuff. And then I went down to the playground and got rushed back up to the house where he was laying in the grass with the needle still in his arm. And I see it like it's right now in front of me with blood in it. And they're trying to revive him, and they couldn't do anything for him. So this is a great, great step forward for us in this time. And I thank you for being proactive. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Brown, Vice Mayor Brown, and thank you for those words. It's hitting closer and closer to home. While we're on that subject, at that press conference, I said we were using 30 to 40 Narcans a month, a year. And it's a month, I say, and it's really a year. So I want to make that correction on the record that it is. And that's because our drug sales and use is down, is decreasing. So we're only using, to date, I think is 11 we've done since this year. So we've issued 11 doses of Narcan. So we'll move on to Economic Development with Councilman Pettibone.
Thank you, Mayor. Department of Community and Economic Development applied for $1.4 million grant for Smith Avenue for the DCD MTF on July 29th. So we're hoping to get good news back on that. Recently, the department secured $4,000 from DNL to install chess tables at Scott Park. We also applied for a $300,000 from Federal Home Loan Bank's Affordable Housing Program for 140 Bushkill Street. I believe we're almost finished with that, the purchasing from the neighborhood center, that 3-unit building. I believe we're going to still lease 1 unit to the neighborhood center, and the other 2 we're going to redo and rent out to low to moderate income families. So that's just another thing that the city's doing to help, people that can't afford much in rent. We applied for another grant for $6,666 for the fire station conceptual designs and feasibility studies, and we're working on a second public safety application for this Monday for $20,000 for the Easton Emergency Squad. Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay. Planning and Codes Committee, Councilmember Rose.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. The next Planning Commission meeting will be held next week, Wednesday at 6:30 in this room. The agenda is posted on the city's website. At the next council committee meeting, I had requested that we add a discussion about intersections with a particular focus on those along Larry Holmes Drive. I hope we can all collaborate to develop solutions that will make these areas more pedestrian friendly. And finally, I've been working on updating a communications plan for city residents and small business owners, and I plan to present that at the next committee meeting, so stay tuned for details. On a community note, I was deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Paul Deary this week, one of our local small business owners and a talented artist. Paul was a kind-hearted individual who made a significant impact on our community. My heartfelt condolences go out to Mary, his sons, and their extended family during this difficult time. I think his loss is just a tremendous blow to our community, and I know many have already been profoundly affected. My thoughts are with everyone who knew and loved Paul. That's all I have.
His memory will live forever down on the Carlson Arts Strip.
Absolutely.
He has an installation there, so we're looking forward to that. Anything else, Madam Rose? Mrs. Rose?
That's all I have. Thank you.
I like Madam Rose instead of Mrs.
Public Safety Committee, Councilmember Reverend Dr. Ruggles.
Not yet.
Close.
Closer.
Every week is closer.
Mr. Campos gave me an assignment last night, so I'm coming back with a solution to our electric plug-ins issue. So we just move them to the roof.
What's that?
We move them to the roof of the decks.
Well, I think you could do that, but it's a matter about bringing the appropriate extinguish.
Well, yeah, you got to wire it, but I mean, I wouldn't think that there's an issue as far as fire is concerned if they're on the roof.
Well, I think you're 50% there, Dr. Ruggles. So I'm going to throw it back and say let's go to committee and bring the fire chief and see what he has to say about it. We need a fire suppression system. That's it.
We got a pipe that runs right up that wall over there, right to the top of the deck, and all they need is get a hose up there. That's all they got to do, and they
No,
have all kinds of fire suppression.
No, well, I get it. Is that pipe used for anything?
Yeah,
It's for
water.
fire suppression.
We had to put in a fire suppression system for $170,000.
Is it water?
Yeah.
No, the
It's a
fire
conduit.
engine comes in down here on the lower deck,
And he
taps
taps
into it, and pumps up that pipe. The pipe is only for fire,
All right, listen.
and so they tap right into it, and then if you're up on the roof, you open it up and you have all you want. So
I think that's a start. We just need to bring the fire chief. It's an idea. Let's
Yeah.
bring the fire chief so we can detail exactly what the issue is and what some potential solutions are and what the cost will be. So
well, the electric's already here. It's just got to be run to the roof, right?
I'll give you an A. I'll give you an A for doing your homework, but the semester's not done yet.
Man, you're an easy teacher. I'll take an A.
So anyway, that's my solution to the problem.
Okay. Well,
Undergraduates get quizzes still.
Ah.
There's undergraduates.
It's the engineer in me. I'm sorry.
I know, it's all right.
Public Works Committee, Councilmember Ettinger.
I have no report tonight, Mayor.
Administration Committee, Councilmember Sultana.
Mayor, I just want to make an repeated announcement for food drive for the Salvation Army. We were able to collect a lot of food for Salvation Army last week, and the drive is still running until the 31st. Another thing I do want to mention, I see some of the Facebook posts, like some people in our school district is struggling to buy shoes for their children. So I'm running a shoes drive on September 21st. Just want to put it in the public. It will be in downtown Easton, and people can come and, find shoes for their children in order to go to school. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Report of the mayor. We just want to say that I want to thank Councilmember Pinnabone and because Councilmember Ruggles couldn't be there to share the cooking duties. We had a senior fest on August 21st. It went well. Thank you, Melody, for volunteering as well, and Carlton and Karen. Senior fest was well attended, and everybody was just praising the Scott Park. It's such a beautiful park in the city that just along the waterfalls there. We are exploring right now how we can light up the waterfalls for at night. So that is something we're looking at as a next opportunity. Also, Clam Jam update. If you were down here on Sunday, it was packed. It's grown to the point where it's really a major event, not the little neighborhood community event it used to be. Also, the skateboarders were in the circle doing their thing. They had moose not a Moose. Moose come in from California. He's a professional skateboarder, and he was giving demonstrations. Plus, all the guys were out there and girls skateboarding in a circle with no traffic, so it was really great. And they started raising money for the skate park that we want to get built. The 2025 budget will be presented on Tuesday, October 1st at 6 p.m. And then we'll give you a schedule of how we're going to operate during October and November, and then into December 15th when it has to be approved. National Overdose Day, as Mr. Brown talked about, at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, we have the mayor of Phillipsburg meeting me at the bridge, and then we walk down to the walkers will be meeting at Safe Harbor and walking to the bridge. They'll meet around 10, and then we'll go down to the amphitheater along the river, and we'll have speakers, and they usually give out awards. So that'll be on Saturday morning at 11. At 7:30 that evening is the candlelight vigil for those people who've lost loved ones from an overdose. So we're gonna. This I think will be the first time that we actually have a candlelight vigil for that purpose. Also, the parking summit last night that we held, I thought was very, very productive. Was very positive and not contentious at all. People came with the idea that they were going to give up program ideas of what we could do to alleviate the impact. We're not going to alleviate the problem, but we can alleviate the impact. I also think that Dr. Ruggles was talking to me today about some other ideas that we could have public comment on. And I talked to Lewis today. At one of our meetings in September, we will have a budget workshop of how the city budget is made up and what different funds are available, et cetera, et cetera.
Mayor, do you want to do the first or second committee meeting?
I think we have something scheduled for the first one.
We do. We have a couple of things going on.
Yeah. Let's
We
check.
could do it the second, sure.
Okay. Probably do it the second, be closer to the actual budget
Okay.
presentation. Also, just to let everyone know that the Pfizer property located at the border of Wilson and Easton is on the agenda for Wednesday night's Planning Commission. Planning Commission, although a very small corner is in the city of Easton, so we don't have a lot of input. Most of the things that are in Easton, in the city, over city line, within the city boundary is basically the detention pond and soil and erosion controls and things of that nature, and stormwater control. The developer has agreed, we're very fortunate that they have agreed to pay for and build and construct the pedestrian bridge across the Bushkill to extend the path out to Palmer and Forks and into Tatamy. So we're happy about that, but we're not happy about the truck traffic. And the van, we realize it's not tractor trailers as much as cube vans. You notice that all the Amazons are being delivered in cube vans. And this is what is known as a fulfillment center, which is the last stage. It's not a warehouse, it's a fulfillment center where it's the last 3 or 5 miles to the place where they are going to deliver the item. Go ahead.
Can I just question on that extension of the trail? That would cross 13th Street
Yes.
from the end of the Bushkill?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Okay. But if we do that, we wouldn't have to go over the Bushkill.
No,
We'd have to go over that little stream that comes in.
Yeah.
The
The
tributary.
tributary.
that's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the tributary. The thing that I'm not happy about is I just read the packet, and our planning department recommended approval to the planning commission. I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong because of the traffic. It has nothing to do with the plan, the warehouse. Although I'm against warehouses, the impact of what could happen in the West Ward. When you get off Route 22 at 13th Street, you cannot make a left-hand turn, especially a tractor trailer. A car can't make a left-hand turn. They're not allowed. And PennDOT has given approval to their traffic impact study. So I don't know why PennDOT did that, but they did. I guess it's because they're telling all the trucks are supposed to get off at 25th Street and come down Wood Avenue. That's fine. But there's going to be those trucks that don't, their GPS is going to take them to 13th Street, and and they're gonna try to make a left and they can't. So that means they have to go into the West Ward and turn around and go in, right up, yeah, across 13th Street and up to Wood Avenue and go in. But we haven't seen it, but just to let city council know that warehouse. Now, Mr. Shear and I did make an appearance at what we thought was gonna be a zoning meeting, and it was never held. It was postponed, for some legal reason, which we still don't know what it was.
Yeah, I remember. Now this is like a half a decade ago. It's BC,
Yeah,
before
before
COVID. So it really was a long time. It was their initial. It's going to be their initial meeting into planning, I believe, stage. And my understanding was the litigation and what held it up was an issue as to who really owned it. There was some dispute between several parties as to certain rights to ownership, and that's what derailed it while they were fighting with each other at the time. So it's I assume
It's been a while.
they clearly resolved that issue.
But I remember. So the other thing that I want to mention is that today Lewis and I had a meeting with the developers of the Great Square Hotel. There's been a lot of rumors and innuendo on Facebook and misinformation that's been put out there. This project has been approved about a year ago. It has Planning Commission and Historic District Commission approval. The ceramic tiles, the Art Deco building that will be there is going to not stay because it's going to be demolished. The reason it's going to be demolished is because the J.K. Mayer building, those of you that don't know, had 4 buildings. So there's 4 foundations which aren't in the best of shape. And then the entertainment center came in and they took out the whole second floor. So the structural integrity of the building is not good. So they're going to tear it down, but they're going to they're going to take off every Art Deco terrazzo tile and catalog it and put it right back in the same spot where it is today. And they were telling us that they have a spot where there's plywood across the top of it where they started to take off the tile to see how hard it would be, because they have someone who will make them the exact same tile, and it's very expensive, but if they take it off and it breaks, they will have another company making terrazzo tile exactly like that's there. So the Art Deco section in the two-story building on the left and the 4-story building on the right, they will both look exactly like they are. And there's a rendering of the hotel up there, and it's been approved by the Historic District Commission, and it's been getting a lot of pushback, but from maybe the same 3 or 4 people who just don't know about it. And again, it's up to the private sector to figure out how they're going to deal with their people. They did it at the Townley. They rent space from the Lafayette College parking lot down under 22. And that's been working out fine for them. So they know they're going to have to deal with parking issue. But this has been something the city has been trying to get in downtown Easton for at least 15 years. We have visitors who come to Easton and they stay out in the suburbs in a cookie cutter type hotel because there's no place else for them. That's why the Townley is so busy. And even the Quality Inn, which was next door here, which was not very nice and certainly full of activity that you definitely don't want your family involved in, they had an 87% occupancy rate, and the average of any hotel is 70%. So they were rented out, 87% of their rooms were rented every day, and it was not a good place. If you would read TripAdvisor, as I did when we were trying to secure the property, TripAdvisor gave us a very, very bad reputation of that. And our police were there at least once or twice a day. So that was, and it's a site of drug deals and homicides and shootings, and we certainly didn't need that at the time back in 2008, 9, and 10. So when we bought it, we paid more for it than we needed to pay because it was such a cash cow. Because people want to stay in our vibrant downtown. I get an opportunity to meet once in a while with the outside salespeople from M&M Mars. M&M Mars is located in Hackettstown, and they come here for dinner at one of our restaurants. And when they come for dinner, they say to me, they say, Mayor, why don't you have a hotel where we could stay? Because we're eating and drinking. We'd rather stay here and drive to Hackettstown in the morning rather than drive back to Hackettstown at night. And so we're very, very fortunate that we're going to have this hotel. It's only going to be 43 rooms. So it's not a big hotel at all. The one next door was almost 100 rooms. So it's not a big hotel, but it's a hotel that will service. And the other good thing is they will have meeting rooms, which we don't have any meeting rooms in town. So we're looking forward to that. But the exact appearance of what's there is going to stay there. So the Art Deco infrastructure on that building is going to be exactly like it is today. But like the Pomeroy building, which is Laubach's, when Mr. Laubach expanded his store, that's 7 buildings. And J.K. Mayer, when he expanded his business, he started as a street vendor. And then he went into a brick and mortar small building and kept buying buildings and made it bigger. So there's 4 foundations down there. And it's going to be an all steel building, which is going to be very, very attractive. I mean, the group that does it is Gusto, and they've done River Grill, Ocean, which is no longer there. It's now Albanese, and Three Oaks, and the Townley. And they don't do junk. They do really nice work. So you're reading a lot of, and I'm talking to the people who are watching us live stream. You see a lot of rumors or but I laugh because the reason why we met today is because we wanted them to know that we wanted the hotel. That's what their approved plan is. We met with them today because the rumor was that they're going to tear it down and build an apartment complex, and that's certainly not what we need, another apartment complex. So we met with it. The meeting was set at last night at 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah, and for today at 10 o'clock, they met with us, and Louis and I left much more at ease with what their plans are, and it was, I got along very well with the owners of the One Center Square and Drinkies, and they certainly provided entertainment and a place for young adults, but we had our troubles there, and they had to have their own security guards, and we had a police officer stationed there every Friday and Saturday night. It wasn't the type of business that we wanted to be known for in our downtown, but we had it. And on any given Friday and Saturday night, there was 200 to 300 young adults on the Lens Court area, either going to Rivals, Mothers, Drinkies, or Pearly Bakers. So I just want to set the record straight that hotel is still on and is a go. And they have their financing. So everything is a go. Not to listen to the rumors that may be out there and on social media, but people tend to believe it, and I just want to set the record straight.
Mayor, there was a tentative, I think we talked about, go live date, if you will, for 2026.
Right, they hope to be done by 2026 to celebrate the country's 250th anniversary and the college's 200th anniversary. Most of the people that stay down at Townley are Lafayette College parents who come in and see their kids, stay overnight, go to dinner in downtown. So we're very fortunate.
And just so council is aware, so it's going to seem like it's going to speed up. So the first part is the preservation of the tiles on the exterior, the Art Deco style tiles. And then the second phase would be, if you will, the demo of the building. All right. Then it'll pause once they get down to the foundation, because they have to do some environmental testing, which is required. And they couldn't do that now because they would have to drill through the sidewalks. And there's, from what I understand, several layers there of concrete, etc., that makes it a little difficult for the drilling. So there's going to be a pause for some time for the environmental testing.
And the soil testing.
The soil testing, right. But then after that, it'll speed that up in a normal pace, but you'll see a pause for a little bit, just to keep you in mind, like to set the expectation. That's why I wanted to say that. I was curious to know how long of a construction period are downtown residents and visitors alike going to experience construction. So that gives you an idea.
Mr. Shear, your report.
Thank you. Having heard Mr. Campos' remarks, this is probably the first stage. In every construction like this, you have to check and see if Jimmy Hoffa is there.
Oh.
So we'll eliminate that. I just to echo what you said about the planning commission meeting coming up. I was going to mention it, but you mentioned it ahead. So that there are two items on the agenda: the land development plan for the planetarium, which will be a big project, and of course this one on the warehouse. The thing that's important for council members and the public who's listening to this, who will probably not get notice of this planning commission meeting, because how many people live within 300 feet of that project? I don't know if anybody will get
We're
notice.
talking about the Nurture Nature project.
No, not Nurture
And
Nature.
Pfizer.
Nurture Nature, there'll be plenty of people who get noticed. The 13th Street one, I don't know that anyone would know about it. So unless they actually look for the agendas every week, they wouldn't know about it. But just so the council understands, that planning commission is the only review. This isn't coming back to you with historic district commission review like we had the whole blow up on the one development that no one knew about until it came up on HDC. So it's an if you haven't attended a planning commission meeting, it might be an interesting presentation. The other thing about the warehouse that I find fascinating is because of the two jurisdictions, so that we're reviewing something, I believe, first before Wilson reviews it. So we have 10% of the building, according to the write-up, is on Easton property. Plus, there's a lot of other areas there that need to be developed. But we have no real coordination for the developer's improvement agreement. It's an interesting concept that I'm going to think about before the planning commission meeting. How do we coordinate what we normally get out of a land development plan? It includes, we have a condition here that they have to address the engineer's comments, and that's usually where you get the developer's improvement agreement. But even the trail or the bridge, there's nothing in here that says it's conditioned upon getting the bridge. So where does that show up? Is it on the Wilson side? So it's just an interesting concept. Also, because it's a land development plan, this planning commission isn't going to have a right to question whether it has a special exception, the effects on health and welfare. It's only a matter of, did you design it? Are there legitimate issues that our staff has brought up that isn't properly designed in that plan? And I always think back when going in private practice, going into a township, and you'd have a land development plan, and they'd have their own private engineers that charged the developers, and you'd get 57 pages, 57 points of comment that would be made. There'd be no approvals until they started getting addressed, and then the solicitor would look at it, and then when they came back and they addressed them, there'd be another 12 added. We're not in that process here. We just have general language that the city engineer comments shall be addressed, as well as the comments of the forester and the zoning administrator, and the codes have to be met. But we never know what they are when we go to planning commission. So I just wanted to comment on that process.
That area is fraught with boundaries. When I developed for Mr. Strausser the G.J. Mills, the old Biddy and Smith mill, color mill, I had 4 municipalities, and all 4 of them I had to appear before them, and our planning commission felt that they didn't have to. Not our planning commission, our planner felt that they didn't have to. And I said, of course they have to, because part of it is in Easton.
Well, actually, if you think about it, if this hasn't gone to Wilson yet for approvals, our planning commission can approve this, and then we still have standing to go to Wilson and object to the plan, because we can, and rightfully so, because all the traffic is coming out of Wilson. That's the one thing we don't have, as far as I can see on this drawing, any ingress or egress within the city of Easton. But the impact in this project is all going to be the behavioral patterns of the bigger trucks that deliver into the center. And do they if they're heading east, are they getting off at 25th Street like they're told, or do they accidentally get off at 13th Street and oops, take a big truck and we could all play games with where that truck is going to go and the challenges that they're going to have in that neighborhood. So that's all I wanted to comment, to just make council members aware that you're never going to see this project again. You have to go to the planning commission if you have any input, or if you really just want to see what it's all about, or go to Wilson when they have their hearings, if you know when it is.
I have a question,
The
Joel.
back half of that lot, Easton Annex, by the way.
Yeah, is that the one of the issue that we talked about a long time ago?
We did. And I think we should pursue.
And did nothing for 100 years.
Hey, annex is annexed.
You had a question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is our planning commission addressing this before Wilson, since the majority of the project lies in Wilson?
We could ask you could ask the developer. I assume they have the right to go wherever they want, and maybe they thought, let's get this thing out of the way first, and it would make some sense for them to do it like that.
So if Wilson forces them to change the design of the plan, will they have to come back to us?
It depends how it
No, we don't have any part,
It-
there's only a small portion of the building that's in Easton, so
Well,
we're not gonna change anything in our.
But we have, I think there's drainage swales and there's
Stormwater.
things that impact us, and it's one of the things the planning commission could consider. They could say, hey, we're not going to approve this until we see what you're doing in Wilson.
I think
I mean, it would be our staff,
that seems reasonable.
our planning staff.
Why, if we have such a small area of land that compared to the entire project being, for the most part, in Wilson, it seems a bit ridiculous that
Well,
we would be looking at it first.
Our planning staff reviewed it and recommended. That's all they're doing there, and it's now up to the planning commission to listen, to think about it, and and anybody who attends to make whatever comments, such as the ones you just made.
I'll see you there.
Dr. Ruggles.
Just another thing on, you're talking about the traffic, but my daughter who comes back from DeSales University and across 22, exit off at 13th in the evening, traffic backs up out onto 22.
Right.
So if you add a few tractor trailers in there, it backs up even further, And so I'm glad for the study that is going to occur, because I think hopefully it will address our current problem there, and what might add even further to our current problem.
Mayor, if I can speak to, thank you. If I can speak to Councilwoman Rose's question, I asked that same question that you asked, which makes complete sense. I was told it was nothing more than they felt. A lot of people, as you guys know, don't pay attention to planning meetings. They like to go to Wilson and say, we already got approval in Easton. And that's what it's for. It's just to say we got approval in Easton,
Right.
and if nobody's really paying attention, it's like, oh, well, Easton approved it. Not understanding that it was a sliver. So, unfortunately.
Well, more than a sliver. We're not dealing with the traffic pattern,
Right.
in this request, but it impacts us. And
Right.
so, and I one last comment from my report. I noticed on the agenda, Councilperson Ruggles' resolution about the solicitor or assistant solicitor initialing any agreements. I mean, it makes perfect sense to have an acknowledgement. However, I would ask any staff members who have a contract to make sure it's presented to us at least 10 days before. And I say that because we need, if it's if it's a 3-page contract, a 2-page contract, some of those, we could look at it in a half hour or so. But some of these require time, and a lot of them require, forget the misspellings. There's just content in there that I might not like, and I know there's been many a staff member has gotten a 5-page, comment by me when it comes to contracts, so that, and that's probably the short ones. So we're going to need to see it well in advance, because the process is not just to see those really obvious things like happened at the last time. There was a last meeting or 2 meetings ago, but also for the content itself. And the other thing I would request of council members is that when you review it, and if you see something like a typo, because my eyes will glaze over certain things like that, to please try to let us know a day beforehand, because most of those are small ones that we could even just change before you even, or just start off by saying we're making these changes because they're purely typos, they're not substantial changes, and there's no reason why we can't fix it on that evening. So that's the end of my report.
Mr. Campos, City Administrator report.
Yes. Mayor, I just want to make an announcement that KWM will no longer be the broker of record for the city's benefits. They sent us a notice and informed us that BSI benefits will be the broker. There's no impact to the carriers or to the employees specifically. So for example, if you're on our benefits, there's zero impact to you. Now, KWM is working with BSI to deal with just answering questions and customer service, if you will, to our employees. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I received a letter from KWM not too long ago.
Microphone, yeah. I don't know if people can hear you on that.
Okay.
Much better.
And, well, like I said, we received notice that KWM will no longer be the broker of record for the city's benefits. Secondly, I think that's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. There's no correspondence, no unfinished business, so we'll move right into new business, Madam Clerk.
Sure. Bill number 21, an ordinance amending the 2024 City of Easton revolving capital fund budget.
So introduce.
Can I just have a quick question there? Sorry, I gotta get down there. Too many certificates. So on this one and the next one, I want to try to get it straight in my mind because what is on here doesn't make sense to me. Okay. It says on the next one, actually, it says, we're taking $45,000 from the fund balance and moving it to pay for Keystone Opportunity Zone incentive, and then we're taking $42,000 from something else and moving it, right? Is that what we're actually doing? I'm sorry, it's the next one, but both of them are the same.
Next one. We're on the 151.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of them are pulling money. So in order to keep
We're pulling funds from one account and putting them into another account.
well, in order to keep the budget balanced, we need to have our revenues equal to the expenses. So basically, what we're saying is on the revenue side, we're asking for money. In the case of the 151 fund, we're pulling money in from a project where we had budgeted it last year in 2024. We didn't spend all of it. So we'd like to ask that be reallocated for this year, and then there are additional costs that were incurred as part of the garage
Okay.
update.
So my question is this:
Yep.
is that in both this one and the next one to be introduced, we have a revenue line item, and we have current balance and then change, and then we have an expense, and we have a current balance, and we have a change. The change is added to both of those. It seems to me like one of them should be added to and the other one should be subtracted from, because that's where we're getting the money from.
Yes, but we are, again, one is the revenue line item, right? So that one, because we're going to ask to increase the expenses. So in order, again, to balance the budget, we need to increase the revenues to offset that. So basically think about it, if the monies that we're asking here, we had budgeted last year, it's in our fund balance, right? It's in our savings account from monies that were not
Right.
spent last year.
Right.
So we're asking, can we go back in, pull that in, and use that for the expense? So yes, you need to show it as the revenue coming in and the expense going out so that they're balanced. So you are correct there.
I
It
mean,
seems
it just doesn't make sense to me. Right now, we have $776,000 approximately in that thing, and what we're doing is we're taking money from this small item of equipment budget and moving it to there, or the other way around?
The other way around.
the other way around.
Okay, so we're taking it from year-end budget, or prior year, I'm sorry.
As the revenue.
We're
yeah.
taking it from there But then at the end of all of this, we have an additional $123,000. Revised budget is up $123,000.
The question is under revised budget for revenue,
Shouldn't that be,
it's,
shouldn't
shouldn't that be
subtracted?
subtracted instead of $899,000? It says
Are we
revised
taking
budget.
money from
Is
that?
this a 151 or
Yeah.
one?
No, the
101?
151 budget.
Right.
Yeah.
It says $899,000 is remaining in that budget, and that's not the case.
It should be minus.
It's
out.
seven.
Taking 123 out, aren't you?
It's 776 minus 123.
No, we're increasing the budget there. We're saying that
Oh, you're
We're-
increasing the
we're
budget.
increasing the budget because we need to increase the expense line item budget as well.
Okay.
So the revenues need to increase to balance off.
Where's
the-
that money come from?
From last year.
The fund balance, right? So there was money that was,
How much money is in the current fund balance?
Well, it's not,
Yeah.
it's depending on how, the 2022 audit, shows what the current fund balance is, but we know from 23, that money was not spent, so it went to the bottom line. I mean, we can certainly show you what the fund balance is between 10 and 15% of the operational budget. So in other words, we're typically, we looked at it today, it's around 5.1 million roughly. I mean, we can show you that number. I mean, that number is not,
So, I guess it's how I read it, okay? And the way that I'm reading it is here's a pot of money that's prior year undesignated. And we're gonna take $123,000 out of that, and we're gonna put it into this small item of equipment.
but we're
But-
saying, if you kind of separate the two, we're saying we'd budgeted to use monies from the fund balance, the initial 720 or 776.
Right.
And we,
And so we said, okay, we wanted to spend this. Now we need to spend more out of that. So we need to say, okay, our budget is going to increase on the revenue side. So we're taking, I know conceptually it's a little confusing, but because it has to come in as a revenue.
Right.
So we're saying we're taking it out of our fund balance, we're pulling it in as revenue, and then the offset will be an increase in
So
expense.
undesignated prior years are going to be budgeted, it'll show a budget amount of 899
Right.
versus 776.
Correct.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, is that the fund balance is not a usual thing that we play with.
I guess my question then
Correct.
is, why
That is
don't we
correct.
have another line here saying where this money is coming from? Because
Well,
it
I-
looks
I
to me
think-
like all of a sudden we're creating $123,000.
That is a fair point. So I will make sure that I get council the approximate fund balance, so that we can say, okay, of the operating expenses, we
$5.1
typically
million
keep, yeah, exactly.
Right,
$5.1 million
yeah,
is
I
what
mean,
we have.
because
Yep.
this kind of
That's-
looks like we're just creating $123,000. And I was like,
I
who
understand.
wrote that check?
Okay.
Okay. I understand now.
Okay. Thank you.
so this
Sorry,
budget
Councilman Brown.
amendment,
No, that's a good point, no.
that's a good point, and I did want to say that this budget amendment, it's been used in the same format before, so council has approved.
I think I asked the question before, but I forgot what the answer was.
And I'm not trying to make an excuse, I'm just saying that Mark followed the format, but I think it's a good question, and we can certainly show you. Because you do want to know, council would want to know that fund balance. I mean, first of all, you should know that fund balance generally, right? You should know we have a fund balance, because that's what's given us a strong bond rating, okay?
Exactly.
Because we do have a fund balance. Council set a fund balance policy back in 2011.
Right.
And it's specific, it's one of the most important pages in the audit. When you look at 22, the 23 one, and Mark and I were talking about it right now when we're finishing up the 24 and looking at the 25 budget. So the fact that we have a fund balance is important. So I do want to make sure we're not taking it lightly, but I think that's a good question, and we'll get that to you.
And it's actually a question, and so the whole council hear what I said, it's not a fund that we particularly mess with on any occasion.
We
And we
do-
absolutely need to.
We do not. That's why we have these budget amendments, and that's why Mark explained that this was money that was not spent last year, and we don't carry over encumbrances year over year. It starts over, so it's a brand new zero budget, if you will.
Tabula rasa.
All right, but it's a good discussion, and I think when we get into this budget education session, we are gonna drill down a little bit deeper into all the funds and some of the fund balances and how we got to our budget.
Thank you. Thank you, Bart. Thank you, Louis.
Okay, is are you introducing that? You did.
I didn't. We're going to the next one now.
Go on to,
Bill number 22,
bill number 22.
an ordinance amending the 2024 City of Easton General Fund budget.
So introduce.
Got another question. Again, I don't understand the count that's in that particular one. 101, 1,000, 3991 is the exact same count number that's in the prior one, but the numbers don't match.
Well, the last, forgive me, the account structure, the first three digits are the fund itself. So you see on the different sheets, starts with 151 and the other one.
Oh, I'm sorry,
is 101.
151. My fault.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
fault.
So that's
101.
the last 5 digits. It can be 5, 6, or 7, but
I'm sorry,
that's
I
the
missed it.
account description.
I
So
missed
that'll
one.
tell you what the account is, and that's shared across all the funds.
My fault.
Moving on, Madam Clerk.
Sure. A resolution approving an agreement with All City Management for crossing guard services for 2024 to 2025.
I thought the crossing guard contract was signed by the school district, not by
I
the
did
city.
too.
Signed by both,
Oh, okay, both.
yes.
But I
But
thought,
why isn't the school district in
But
this?
they get to pick them.
I thought they led it and then we contributed to it.
That's what I thought too. I thought that's what Chief Sicalzo told us.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have any control over
Right.
which intersections are.
That's why Mel goes to the school
They
board
do.
meeting, calling for.
They do lead it, but they have us sign the contract because we pay for half.
Well,
We should have
the logistics there is that we pay the full invoice when we get it from the
We get reimbursed for
and then we get reimbursed. So we then bill the school district for that for half.
Thank you.
Just have them say.
So
You introduced it. Resolution to
Need a move.
moved in second. Moved by Mr. Pinnabone. Is there a second
Second.
to the resolution?
Second to the resolution.
Okay.
Second resolution by Vice Mayor Brown.
Mhm.
Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Oh, just a real quick correction on that. If you go to their All City Management Services, they still have us at 25 South 3rd Street, by the way. So
they don't care where.
Our
we are, as long as
address.
we
Don't
write
have
the
money
check.
coming.
That's good. The bills will go there.
234, almost $250,000, but
We'll have to make that change.
I'm sure the typo was the 1 because we were never at 25.
yeah, the police
Yeah.
were.
Oh,
Lieutenant Moki
police,
was, the police were there.
Oh, please, yeah.
That's the police address, the old police station. Well, the substation, whatever you want to call it.
I got it.
Horrible.
Letter D.
We'll never get the bill.
Karen, before we forward, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow about,
The leak
about
I
when we
caught
forward
It
that.
should go to
Yes,
48
I have
South
a-
4th
I have
Street,
another one.
All right.
Okay.
North 4th Street.
And it's on the both pages, by the way.
A resolution authorizing the DCED to apply for Northampton County Public Service Safety Grant Program for College Hill and Central Fire Station renovations.
Motion.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion? Go ahead, Dr. Virgo.
I think all three of the DCED resolutions have the same format, and I think we need to change the first whereas to be it resolved. We're saying whereas the City of Easton authorizes the Department of Economic Development to apply for a grant. We don't want to have that under a whereas.
No, we
Right.
need that now therefore. You're right. Or be it resolved.
I think, Karen, if you just take the whereas where it says there's no match required, move that to the top. And then where it says whereas the City of Easton,
Mhm.
just make that, be it resolved,
Okay.
and then where it says down below, be it resolved, just see it, be it further resolved. Okay, and you just have to do that in all three of
On
them.
all of them, sure. Okay.
And Karen, if you want to work with me, I actually think that the opening, whereas, I could work with you on all three of those. We should say, whereas there is a grant program to fund feasibility studies of College Hill and Central Fire Station renovations, and whereas there is a match requirement of 1 to 2 or 3,340, be it resolved, and then we go on from there.
I thought that was.
We should give the background, in other words, in the first whereas
Okay.
clause, because otherwise we don't have a foundation to build
Right,
off
right.
what the resolution's all about.
That's a good point, Mr. Chair. Louis, I thought we had Southside included in that. This one just lists College Hill and Central.
Central.
Okay, so Mayor, Southside is complete.
Oh, that's right.
This is for a grant application. So we're gonna, we're applying to the county and we're showing them that we have half the monies. I mean, initially we could have done it, but the grant opportunity came up. I put a hold on the spending. It wasn't necessarily in the budget, so this is a good opportunity for the city to get 50%.
Moving on.
Do we need roll call for that?
Roll
Yeah,
call.
okay. Mayor Panto.
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone.
Aye.
Mrs. Rose.
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles.
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger.
Aye.
A resolution authorizing DCED to apply for Lehigh, Northampton County, and Monroe County local share accounts.
Motion.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion. Roll.
Same issue.
Same issue, yeah.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Mr. Pinnabone.
Aye.
Mrs. Rose.
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles.
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger.
Aye.
And Mayor Panto.
Aye.
A resolution authorizing DCED to apply for Northampton County Public Safety Grant Program to support the Easton Emergency Squad purchase of equipment.
So, motion.
Second.
Moved in second by Councilmember Rose. Roll, discussion, questions, comments? Roll call.
Mrs. Rose.
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles.
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger.
Aye.
Mayor Panto.
Aye.
And Mr. Pinnabone.
Aye.
A resolution approving a proposal from Barry Easton and Associates to design a sanitary sewer for Phillips Street.
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion. Dr. Ruggles.
Yes.
They said that there's no contingency here for subsurface investigation or anything like that. Do we expect anything in that area? I don't know that, the soil, is it rock or is it just soil, or do we know, or?
It's mostly all soil because that area has been excavated several times for gardening.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather had a garden back there.
More clay than soil.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Well, clay is a soil.
Right.
But, okay, I was concerned because I know of locations that have put in sanitary sewers and had to blast and, all kinds of
Oh, yeah.
issues.
Well, we don't expect to have to go, some of the ones that we did in Forks Township were 20 feet deep. This one, we don't think will be that deep.
And I just have a quick question for our solicitor. Should we add in front of every place where it says sewer there, sanitary sewer?
Yeah, I don't have Mr. Hopkins here as my specialist, so I think I'll have to,
Well,
I'll have to defer to the person who got a doctorate in this area, and if there's a difference between sanitary sewer and just plain sewer.
Well, there's a sanitary sewer and there's a storm sewer.
Okay,
There's
then,
two different
and
types
this is
of
for
sewers.
and this is for the sanitary sewer?
This is a sanitary.
Then-
But up
I
at the
think we
top,
should add that.
It does say RE Phillips Street sanitary sewer design.
But
Okay.
within the,
It won't,
Within the document,
it won't
says
hurt, if
sewer.
we insert the word sanitary sewer,
Okay.
we'll be cleaning it up. That's a pun.
You're a mess. You are a mess.
Don't lose your day job.
May I
Right.
do the roll call for ESIT?
Yes.
Ice it.
ESIT?
Sorry, ice it.
She's gonna do ice it.
You
we're
say
gonna do
ESIT.
ice it.
I say
She'll do
ESIT, you say ISIT.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Okay. Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
And Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
A resolution requiring the city solicitor or assistant city solicitor to review contracts and initial when ready for Easton City Council.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
And Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
At this point, we are at committee comments from anybody, member of the public concerning the city of Easton. Mel?
So Melody Rogers, 710 West Berwick Street, Easton. Last year when I had brought this information over to Mayor about our crossing guards, we in Southside need 5 of them just to be safe. Berwick Street is a killer street and it needs more safety people. Even the teachers from the school said that they need some more. So when I presented it to them, I also talked to somebody from the school district and told me that the city pays half, the school pays half, and it has to go in the budget and everything before we're allowed to have this. So we're really honored that this is going to be seen, and we'll be able to probably get, hopefully, as many as we can get for that amount of money. We'll be appreciative of that. Also, for our skateboard event, did really good. I'd like to thank Corey, Jake, Bill, Andy Poe, and my son, AJ Rogers, because they really worked their butts off to make it successful. Bill and AJ, I'm not sure anybody else, but those two made ramps, and they had been putting them together that morning when they got there. It was a lot of work for them to do that. And it was even more work when it was over and they were exhausted. They had to take every screw out and everything to move these big ramps, but they had them safe for everybody. They gotten ramps borrowed from other places too, and the kids were ecstatically happy with what they had. Everybody turned out to be having a great time. They were just doing their thing, and people were coming up and talking to them about how long they've been skating and things. Also, our pro, his nickname is Moose. His real name is Luis. Very nice man. He came, I guess, Friday night. He was with Corey all day, a Saturday until Sunday. He talked to every one of the skaters, has a new friend in every one of them. He asked about their skating adventures through their life, how long they've been doing it. He loves our city, bragged about how beautiful it was, and everybody here was so friendly to him. He said he's never been to a city like that, where he lives, that people communicate with him and show so much love and affection for people who just come in from out of town. So he just loved it. He said it's just so beautiful here, and he appreciated being asked to come here. And he said to thank everybody for inviting him and allowing him to be here and help. And he signed some boards for the kids, and they got to have raffles for it, so they got the boards, and he signs it Moose, and he draws a picture of a moose on the back of them. And the kids were just thrilled to have them because these are boards they're not going to use. They're going to be hanging them up in their room, so they are very valuable to them. Moose also came with his photographer, which is his best friend, and he films him at all times of wherever event he's at skating. He films them so they broadcast it all over the place. So I just wanted to thank them. We can still get T-shirts. They're down at $5 a dime. They're all $25, and we probably brought in, I would say, over 2,500, between 2,500 and 3,000, somewhere in there. Tremendous people coming that were just coming from the fest, walking over there and seeing the kids, not even watching them, but just coming over and buying shirts because they wanted to support. We got a long way to go, and we just need everybody to help and participate. And we want to just thank everybody for what they've done already for us so far. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mel.
Anyone else want to address city council? Not? Anybody from city council that need to say anything in addition that wasn't on the agenda?
Mayor, I just have 2 updates. One that I forgot. The landlord-tenant training that I brought forward a couple months ago to develop. I was informed recently that the RDA has hired a part-time program manager to finalize the landlord training program and to develop the training modules that they're going to be required to do every year. They also met with 2 prospects for business locations in the city this week. So fingers crossed on that. regarding Saturday's, event in the circle at 7:30, you know, like Councilman Brown, Vice Mayor Brown mentioned, you know, I haven't lost any friends to fentanyl. But a lot of my friends that I grew up with have lost children, to fentanyl. They're using, oxys and Percocets and things, and they're being laced with fentanyl, and these children are passing away. We're going to hear from three parents, three mothers in the city of Easton who lost their children recently to fentanyl overdose. We also have Pastor Jason Vanderberg from Shiloh is going to speak. Imam Hernandez from Allentown is going to speak. And our new rabbi, Rabbi Rubin here in Easton, can't speak, but she's going to send somebody in her place. So it's going to be a good representation. This drug, this disease, doesn't just pick and choose. It goes after everybody. So we're going to start coming together. My hope is that this will be an every year thing to celebrate overdose, not celebrate, but bring awareness to Overdose Awareness Day. That's all I have, Mayor.
Anyone else?
I just want to add, I drive by a billboard on 33 that says, I believe it says, 150 deaths per day from fentanyl. And if you multiply that by 360, that's a big number. It's a very big number. And I think some of the things is people don't realize how big of a number that is across the United States.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's bad.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
Third.